Daddy Pig is always home. Think about that for 1 second. Not sometimes home, not home on weekends. Always home. School runs at 9 in the morning. Daddy Pig is there. Dentist appointments on a Tuesday. Daddy Pig is there. Spontaneous trips to the aquarium, surprise visits from Granny Pig, muddy puddle emergencies at 2 in the afternoon on a Wednesday. Daddy Pig, present, available. Wearing the same turquoise shirt he has apparently owned since the beginning of time. He is, according to the show, a structural engineer, a building inspector, a concrete technician, a man with, theoretically, a career. And yet the last time anyone on this show appeared to be constrained by professional obligations was never. Something is going on. And today, we are going to figure out what. Let's start with the job itself. Because the first warning sign is in how Daddy Pig describes what he does. When Peppa asks her father to explain his job, he tells her, and this is a direct quote, that he takes big numbers, transmutes them, and calculates their load-bearing tangents. Peppa immediately responds that this sounds boring. And honestly, Peppa is not wrong. But more importantly, that description is doing a lot of work for a man who may or may not have a functioning career. Take big numbers, transmute them, calculate their load-bearing tangents. Say that out loud. Say it again. Notice how it sounds like engineering without technically committing to anything specific that could be verified. This is the professional equivalent of saying you work in strategic development of cross-functional synergies. It is the kind of sentence a man memorizes once, deploys when asked, and has not been questioned about since 2004. His office exists. He has been shown going there. Mr. Rabbit and Mummy Cat work in the same building. Both of them appear to have functional professional lives. Mr. Rabbit manages a museum. Mummy Cat is a graphic designer. These are real job descriptions with real deliverables. Daddy Pig has load-bearing tangents. Nobody from his office has ever called him. No deadline has ever loomed. No client has ever been mentioned. For a structural engineer whose work presumably involves buildings that people will stand inside, the complete absence of professional pressure is either an extraordinary work-life balance achievement or evidence that the professional life has quietly ceased to exist. Now here is where the competence question becomes impossible to ignore. Daddy Pig is a structural engineer and building inspector. His professional function is to evaluate whether structures are sound, whether buildings will hold, whether the load-bearing calculations have been correctly executed. He is the person whose job it is to look at a wall and know whether it will stay up. He tried to hang a picture on a wall in his own home. He made a hole large enough to see through to the other side. He then had to fix the entire wall before Mummy Pig came back, which he managed while apparently creating additional mess in the process. The man professionally responsible for assessing structural integrity could not attach a nail to plaster without causing what a reasonable person would describe as minor structural damage. And then there is the cement incident. Daddy Pig was explaining to a group of children how cement works. He was the expert in this scenario. He was the adult. He stepped directly into a puddle of wet cement mid-explanation and became physically stuck in it when it hardened. A structural engineer and concrete technician stepped into concrete by accident while explaining concrete to children. If this man is genuinely employed in a field where his professional judgment determines whether buildings remain upright, that is information the public probably deserves to know. Meanwhile, Mummy Pig. Mummy Pig works from home in computing. This is occasionally shown to be genuinely difficult because Peppa and George want to use her computer for Happy Mrs. Chicken while she is trying to work, which is the most accurate depiction of working parenthood in children's television history. But here is the thing. Mummy Pig gets the work done. The work exists. The deadlines are real. The professional life is verifiable. She also hung the picture. The same picture that Daddy Pig had just created a wall-sized hole attempting to hang. Mummy Pig did it in seconds, without tools, without incident, without any structural damage to the surrounding area. She simply did it, in the way that a person does a thing they are capable of doing. She reads the map correctly every time Daddy Pig hands it over. She fixes the computer. She manages the household finances in a way that has produced a house extension, a new car, and a series of family holidays that suggest the budget is comfortable. And she does all of this while also doing the work that is actually bringing money in. The financial arithmetic of this household points in one direction. Someone is earning the income that supports this family's lifestyle. That someone navigates correctly, hangs pictures without incident, and meets professional deadlines. That someone is not the man who got stuck in cement in front of children while explaining cement. Now, here is the detail that changes everything about Daddy Pig's career prospects. He is afraid of heights. This is not a theory. This is not a fan interpretation of ambiguous evidence. This is confirmed on screen multiple times across the show's run. Daddy Pig has a documented, acknowledged, show-verified fear of heights. He cannot go high without a crisis. This is a known fact about him in his own household. He is also, according to his own professional description, a structural engineer and building inspector. Think about what building inspection actually involves. You go to construction sites. You assess structures at various stages of completion. You climb scaffolding. You access upper floors of buildings that, by definition, do not yet have elevators because they are under construction. You stand at elevation and make professional judgments about whether the thing you are standing on is structurally sound. This is the job. This is what the role requires on a functional, practical, daily basis. Daddy Pig cannot be on a ladder without his entire body communicating that this is not okay. This is not a minor inconvenience he powers through on site visits. This is a fundamental incompatibility between a man and the physical requirements of his stated profession. A structural engineer afraid of heights is like a swimming instructor afraid of water. Technically possible, practically unsustainable. And yet for 20 years, nobody in Peppa Pig has connected these two facts and asked the obvious follow-up question. We are asking it now. So here is the theory. The one that explains the always home situation, the absent professional obligations, the complete silence from any employer or colleague, and the career description that sounds like engineering without committing to anything verifiable. Daddy Pig was let go. At some point, probably several seasons ago, possibly before the show even began, Daddy Pig was quietly released from his structural engineering position. Perhaps the cement incident was not the first incident. Perhaps the load-bearing tangent calculations contained errors that a building inspector eventually caught, which is ironic given that catching those errors is also Daddy Pig's job. Perhaps the fear of heights became operationally incompatible with site visit requirements, and HR had a very uncomfortable conversation that Daddy Pig has never discussed with anyone, and now he is home, every day, in the turquoise shirt. Describing his job in the present tense to anyone who asks while being available, without exception, for every school run, every dentist appointment, and every spontaneous muddy puddle championship in Peppa Town. The thing that makes this theory genuinely compelling is not the evidence for it. It is the absence of evidence against it. There is no episode where Daddy Pig's employer calls, no deadline that creates narrative tension, no professional consequence that follows him home. He has a job title, a job description, and an office he has been photographed in. What he does not have is any indication that the job is currently ongoing. Meanwhile, he calls himself the expert of everything, the DIY expert, the map reading expert, the cooking expert, the expert on whatever subject comes up in any given episode, and he is wrong every single time, but he never stops. The confidence never wavers, the cheerfulness never breaks. Which brings us to the psychological dimension of this whole situation. Because Daddy Pig's relentless positivity, examined closely, starts to look less like a personality trait and more like a coping mechanism operating at extraordinary scale. This is a man who is made the subject of national television humiliation when his daughter draws him on Mr. Potato's show and Mr. Potato announces, "Live that he needs exercise." Daddy Pig laughs. This is a man whose daughter's treehouse password is Daddy's Big Tummy, which he is required to say out loud to enter a structure his own father-in-law built. Daddy Pig laughs. This is a man who gets buried in the sand at the beach, used as a swimming float, and on one occasion, forgotten entirely by his family who nearly left without him, only to return because they noticed the straw hat on his head and not because they noticed him. Daddy Pig laughs every time, without exception. with a cheerfulness that has never once cracked across 20 years of episodes. Either Daddy Pig is the most psychologically robust individual in the history of animation, or he made a decision, somewhere along the way, to simply absorb everything and keep going. To be the person who laughs at the joke even when the joke is him. To be present, available, cheerful, and endlessly patient with a family that loves him completely and respects him only intermittently. The Treehouse password tells you something important. Yes, Daddy's big tummy is a cruel password for a small child to create, but Daddy Pig said it every single time and went in anyway, because being inside the treehouse with his daughter mattered more than the dignity cost of the entrance requirement. That is either deeply healthy or deeply sad, and 20 years of Peppa Pig has never committed to which one. Then came Valentine's Day, and this is the evidence that complicates the entire dark theory. In the Valentine's Day episode, Daddy Pig does not receive a card. The whole town finds out. And here is what happens. Every character in Peppa Town independently feels bad. Not performatively bad, genuinely bad. They send him cards. By the end of the episode, Daddy Pig has received a full sack of Valentine's cards from the entire community. The man who gets used as a beach dinghy. The man whose belly is a running punchline across 9 seasons. The man who cannot hang a picture, navigate a map, or stand on a ladder without a personal crisis. The entire town loves him. Actually, genuinely loves him. Not in spite of all of it. Alongside all of it. Which raises the possibility that the dark truth behind why Daddy Pig is always home is not incompetence or redundancy or a career quietly collapsing behind the scenes. Maybe it is simpler than that. Maybe at some point, Daddy Pig looked at what was available to him. The career, the office, the load-bearing tangents, and looked at what was happening at home. The muddy puddles, the school runs, the treehouse, the children who would one day stop needing him there every afternoon, and made a choice. The cheerfulness was never a coping mechanism. It was a verdict. Or he definitely got fired and is too embarrassed to say so. Both readings are entirely consistent with the available evidence. The show has been running for 20 years and has not resolved this question, which suggests that either the writers don't know either, or they understand that the answer is less interesting than the question. Daddy Pig is always home. And somehow, despite everything, that turns out to be exactly where everyone wants him.